Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope you're all doing fine, and it is a Sunday evening, my location. The weekend went well, and I'm a little bit tired. I even slept 2 hours afternoon, but anyway, some things should be done. So, I'm gonna read the third part of the Enchanted profile right now. No excuses, we're gonna do this. So, don't fret about that child, said Aunt Maggie. I don't send out invitations, I issue orders. I'll have 50 guests here that couldn't be brought together again at any reception unless it were given by King Edward or William Travers Jerram. They are men, of course, and all of them either owe me money or intend to. Some of their wives don't come, but a good many will. That was the place where I stopped the last reading. Well, I wish you could have been at I wish you could have been at the banquet. The dinner service was all good and cut glass. There were about 40 men and 8 ladies present besides Aunt Maggie and I. You'd never have known the third richest woman in the world. She had on a new black silk dress with so much passementerie. Passementerie, no idea what is this. So much passementerie on it that it sounded exactly like a hailstorm I heard once I was staying all night with a girl that lived in a top floor studio. And my dress, say, man, I can't waste the words on you. It was all handmade lace, whether there was any of it at all, and it cost 300. I saw the bill. The men were all bald headed or white side whiskered, and they kept up a running fire of light repartee about 3%, and Brian, and the cotton crop. On the left of me was something that talked like a banker, and on my right was a young fellow who said he was a newspaper artist. He was the only, well, I was going to tell you. After that dinner was over, Mrs. Brown and I went up to the apartment. We had to squeeze our way through a mob of reporters all the way through the halls. That's one of the things money does for you. Say, do you happen to know a newspaper artist named Laugh Laughrop? Laughrop, a tall man with nice eyes and an easy way of talking. No, I don't remember what paper he works on. Well, all right. When we got upstairs, Mrs. Brown telephones for the bill right away. It came and it was 600. I saw the bill. Aunt Maggie fainted. I got her on a lounge and opened the bed work. Bed work. Bad work. Child, says she, when she got back to the world. What was it? A raise of rent or an income tax? Just a little dinner, says I. Nothing to worry about, hardly a drop in the bucket shop. Sit up and take notice. At these possesses notice, if there is no other kind. But say, man, do you know that? Do you know what Aunt Maggie did? She got cold feet. She hustled me out of that hotel Bonton At 9 the next morning, we went to a rooming house on the Lower West Side. She rented one room that had water on the floor below and light on the floor above. After we got moved, all you could see in the room was about 1,500 worth of new swell dress and a one burner gas stove. Aunt Maggie had a sudden attack of the hedges. I guess everybody has got to go on a spare on a spree once in their life. A man spends his on highballs, and a woman gets woozy on clothes. But with worth $1 million, say, I'd like to have a picture of. But speaking of pictures, did you ever run across a newspaper artist named Lathrop at all? Oh, I asked you that before, didn't I? He was mighty nice to me at the dinner. His voice just suited me. I guess he must have thought I was to inherit some of Aunt Maggie's money. Well, Mr. Man, 3 days of that lighthouse keeping was plenty for me. Aunt Maggie was affectionate as ever. Affectionate as ever. She hardly let me get out of her sight. But let me tell you, she was a hedger from Hedger County. 75 cents a day was the limit, she said. We cooked our own meals in the room. There I was, with $1,000 worth of the latest things in clothes, doing stunts or a one burner gas stove. As I say, on that on the third day I flew the coop. I couldn't stand for throwing together a 50-cent kindly stew while wearing at the same time a 150 house dress when with Walancenas lace insertion. So I goes into the closet and puts on the cheapest dress Mrs. Brown had bought for me. It's the one I've got on now, so not so bad for 75 bucks, is it? I left all my own clothes in my sister's flat in Brooklyn. Mrs. Brown, formerly Aunt Maggie, says I to her, I'm going to extend my feet alternately, one after the other, in such a manner and direction that this tenement will recede from me in the quickest possible time. I'm no worshipper of money, says I, but there are some things I can't stand. I can't stand the fabulous monster that I've read about that blows hot birds and cold bottles with the same brave. But I can stand a quitter, says I. They say you've got $40 million. Well, you'll never have any less. And I was beginning to like you too, says I. Well, the late Aunt Maggie kicks till the tears flow. She offers to move into a swell room with a two-burner stove and running water. I've spent an awful lot of money, child, says she. We'll have to economize for a while. You're the most beautiful creature I ever laid eyes on, she says, and I don't want you to leave me. Well, you see me, didn't you? Well, you see me, don't you? I walked straight to the Acro- Acropolis and asked for my job back, and I got it. Now, how did you say your writings were getting along? I know you're lost. You've lost out some by not having me to typewrite them. Do you ever have them illustrated? And by the way, did you ever happen to know a newspaper artist? Oh, shut up. I know I asked you before. I wonder what paper he works on. It's funny, but I couldn't help thinking that he wasn't thinking about the money. He might have been thinking I was thinking I'd get from old Maggie Brown. If I only knew some of the newspaper editors, I'd. The sound of an easy footstep came from the doorway. Ida Bates saw who it was with her back hair comb. I saw her turn pink, perfect statue that she was. A miracle that I share with Pygmalion, Pygmalion only. Am I excusable? She said to me, adorable petitioner that she became. It's it it's Master Lathrop. I wonder if it really wasn't the money. I wonder if after all he of course I was invited to the wedding. After the ceremony I dragged Lathrop aside. "You're an artist," said I, "and haven't figured out why Maggie Brown conceived such a strong liking for Miss Bates. That was, let me show you." The bride wore a simple white dress, bright, as beautifully draped as the costumes of the ancient Greeks. I took some leaves from one of the of the decorative wreaths in the little parlor and made a chaplet of them and placed them on Beatty's shining chestnut hair and made her turn her profile to her husband. "By Jinga," said he, "it's Ida's dead ringer for the lady's head on the silver dollar." Alright, guys, the great story has ended, and we're gonna continue with another one, but tomorrow. Thank you for joining me today, and see you. Bye.